Hey everybody, it's Tim Hinton, the Beast of the Marching Arts. Welcome to Marching Arts Now. Tonight it's all about WGI Percussion, everybody. We have some really great percussionists with us. My co-host for this percussion segment, Laura Sakazinski. Laura, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm great. This is going to be so much fun, everybody. We're going to be watching some clips from a lot of different shows, including some of the people that are here. We have three performers from some fantastic world-class percussion. I'm going to say hello to them real quick. Here's Stephen Mccarrick. Stephen, how are you?
Hey, doing great. Pretty excited to be here and check out some clips with you guys.
Absolutely. Stephen is marching with Rhythm X this year. Also with us tonight, Joshua Reynolds. Joshua, how are you?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm excited to see all these clips, see all the shows. I'm very excited. I'm pretty happy with all the shows I've seen this season.
Yeah, man, it's going so well. And you're marching, of course, with Infinity Percussion, and also with Infinity. Here's Sammy Screwmeyer. How are you, Sammy?
Hey, great. Ready to have some fun tonight.
Yeah, thank you guys for being here. So everybody, we have these ringers here, performers from these top groups. We're going to be talking about their experience this winter, what it's like to be at this moment in the season. We're going to watch some clips of their shows. It's going to be really fun. So Stephen and Sammy and Joshua, thank you guys for being here. I'm going to send you backstage again while I talk to Laura. So Laura, how are things going at United Percussion?
They're going much better than expected. You know, early on in the season, there was still a lot of uncertainty with COVID, getting everyone back in person together, finding rehearsal sites. But we have really overcome a lot of barriers, and we're steamrolling through. Last month, it's time to push through to the end.
Yeah, awesome. So I'm so glad that you're here. Everybody, if you're watching live, thank you so much for watching. This is Marching Arts Now. We're talking about WGI Percussion tonight. We would love for you to be a part of the conversation. So put in the chat where you're watching from and any questions that you have for this panelists that are here tonight and everybody we're going to be talking to. Please say hello. We would love to hear from you. So Laura, what do you think about this point in the season? It's interesting. I had a conversation with John Campese from Infinity Percussion, the director there, the big Grand Poobah of Infinity Percussion. He was talking about how the season's kind of long, right? Because like WGI Color Guard finishes next week, but you guys have to wait all the way through that Easter week and one more. What are you guys thinking about that?
Yeah, so one thing that kind of separates world-class WGI from something like DCI is that you have to balance this activity with your personal life, you know? And you can't just kind of pretend that everything in your life doesn't exist, you know? Something that I love at United is that we really just accept like what everything is going through, the challenges that we're overcoming to be there every weekend. And we're really supporting each other throughout the week so that when we come in for each weekend, we're ready to go, we're supporting each other, and everyone feels welcomed. Burnout is definitely a thing, you know, trying to balance it with school, work. So we're trying our best to keep each other healthy and keep ourselves healthy and just be there for one another.
I love it. So let's bring back in our panelists from the drum lines because I want to ask them about this same thing. So let me add them back into the conversation. First off, let's go back around. Everybody introduce yourself and sort of tell us who you are, where you live, where you're marching, and what you do in the drum line. So Stephen, we'll start with you.
Yeah, sure. So I'm a bass drummer. I play bass one at Rhythm X. At this point, I'm actually living out in Ohio, but typically I'm from Philadelphia. Now at this point, I live at my rehearsal facility out in Ohio for Rhythm X. So for me, it's really been like the season of my dreams. I look forward to probably talking about it more a little bit later on. But getting to really devote myself fully to what I do out here is a really unique experience in and of itself. But yeah, that's about what's up with me, I would say.
Very cool. Bass one, man. That's an important bass drummer. That's not like no slackers on bass one. Okay. Sammy, tell us about yourself and what you do.
Hey, yeah, I'm Sammy Screwmeyer. I'm from the Panhandle of Florida. I've been living in Orlando here for a few years. Moved here for school at UCF and just graduated. And I'm just spending my age out season with Infinity playing snare drum. One of the ensemble leaders. It's been a really, really unique experience. Been with the whole of the organization since fall of 2017. So wrapping up a long career here. Really excited to finish it out.
Fantastic. Congratulations on graduating. Wish I had applause sounds I could play. That's fantastic. What did you get your degree in?
Environmental science.
Love it. Man, we need those guys. All right, very good. Joshua, tell us about yourself.
Hi, yeah, I'm Josh. I'm marching over at Infinity Percussion this season. I'm actually playing bass guitar over there, so more of the front ensemble rhythm section side of things. So it's pretty fun. I'm enjoying the season overall. Also doing college and studying through there. Kind of trying to balance out the work life with the band, so having a good time. It's fun.
Fantastic. So bass players. So does that mean all the women in the audience come running after you at the end of the show? Do you get that kind of rock vibe thing?
Not at all, but people do comment that your parts are fun, so yeah.
That's good. That's good. I know, like I could feel everybody rolling their eyes as I'm trying to make these comments. So I'm just going to stop and we're going to get right into it. Laura, why don't you talk to the panelists about that sort of thing we were just talking about where they are in the season and about how long the season is and how they're dealing with that.
Yeah, so we were just talking about how indoor season seems like eternity almost. We're in the fifth month of it almost, and burnout can get very real just with trying to balance your everyday life. You know, it's not like DCI where you just go off and you get to focus on band every day. So kind of like, how do you and the members of your ensemble kind of balance that, you know, support each other throughout the very long season?
Well, speaking for myself, at least I sleep a lot. My Monday, my Monday is usually a recovery day. I feel like, because for me at least, even though I have a job during the week, like the weekend has kind of become my priority, and that's usually where like a lot of mental energy goes. So there's a lot of time that I spend throughout the week. Like if I don't have anything else to do, like I'm not really going to do anything. I'm just going to mentally decompress.
Yeah,
Yeah,
great.
that's fair.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, as someone who just also graduated and I'm not really doing a whole lot besides working part time and kind of chugging along. Yeah, weekends are definitely priority right now, and it's well, the thing that gets me and the rest of my line, like the snares I march next to, that gets us through it is we meet once a week to drum outside of the weekend, and then that's a good time for us to check in throughout the week, make sure we're all doing okay. And then as soon as we're in the weekend, we're all in and we're hanging out and we're just getting better all weekend.
Great. Josh?
Yeah, that's pretty much I agree around the same thing. Like weekends are mainly priority, so when we go on the weeks, it's a lot of resting, recovering, getting ready for the next weekend, whether it's like practicing or writing new things or just getting ready to go in, perform, and enjoy your season, because that's really what it's about.
Yeah. One thing that I have particularly like to do this season is when I'm just sitting there in work or something and I have 10 free spare minutes and I just do a mental run through of my show. It's like it definitely helps, especially when for front ensemble when you can't get to an actual keyboard. And do you guys feel burnt out at all? Like do you ever experience weeks where it's just like, wow, this is like you particularly have a lot of stuff to do, and like how do you kind of deal with that?
I think for me personally, like doing this on the weekends is kind of what gets me through the week in a lot of ways too. So even though I'll be very busy a lot of the time, I really look forward to the experience that I get to have on the weekends. So
Mhm.
then that like carries me through. Sometimes I would feel like even having like something to do on the weekends that takes up so much of my time would like force me to be even more efficient with my time during the week. So I remember, especially during college, like not even just this season, that would be some of my best like academic periods as well, because it would just force me to be so on top of the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I kind of refer to it myself as Sunday blues. Get out of rehearsal and it's been a long weekend and you're packing up from everything and you get home and you're just in the shower and you're like, oh, it's going to be such a long week. But then like as the couple days going through the week go by, I kind of start to get a little bit more of that energy towards the weekend. And especially now that we're in like deep competition season and we're doing like circuit championships and everyone's about to travel to Dayton. You're already in Ohio, Stephen, but we're coming to you. Um, and it just gets everyone so excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When it comes to burnout, I have felt burnout before, and like there are weekends where I'm just like, ugh, it's difficult to get through. But I would say best advice that I use for myself is taking everything one step at a time, and just kind of just breathing through everything. Because it's like if I'm just relaxed and I'm calm, I can make it through any weekend. That's more the mentality I try to use when I feel burned out.
Yeah, I love that. Specifically at United, our director has been taking a marathon mentality approach to this season, just taking everything one step at a time, getting a little better each week, and all those little steps really, really pay off in the end and start working toward your goals.
All right, man, what a great conversation we're having. Everybody that's watching, thanks for watching. This is Marching Arts Now, presented by Guard Closet and Marching Arts Education. We're so glad we're here. We have performers from Rhythm X and Infinity and United, and you guys, such a great conversation so far. So we have some clips. So Laura, do you need to set up this first United clip, or should I just play it?
I guess I'll set up a little bit because a lot goes on in it. This is a little clip of our ballad, and our show is entitled "The World Is Watching," so that can be interpreted many different ways. You know, the very literal sense is this: the phone. You know, cameras everywhere on everything that you do. So you will see 4 big screens where we live broadcast people playing on the floor through these screens. And then we'd also take it in a more real world issue where we show footage at the end of the George Floyd and Black Lives Matter protests. So that kind of like brings us back to moments where the entire world was watching a certain event happen. So our show this year is very much focused on just kind of reaching the emotions of the people in the crowd, you know, kind of allowing them to form their own interpretation of, you know, important things that kind of happen in their lives.
I love it. All right, let's watch this clip, everybody, and then we'll talk about it after we've seen it. All right. Wow. Everything stops. That's pretty cool. Laura, those video images we were seeing of the drummers, were those live images being shot that day, or were those pre-recorded?
So that is live images that are happening that exact moment. So we hooked up camcorders to the back of the props, and we have some camcorders on the actual floor and along the sides of the front ensemble. So you'll see in the next clip, like there's like live footage of us playing on the actual screens. Pretty tech savvy.
Yeah, it's really cool. So Stephen
Yeah.
or Sammy or Joshua, do you guys want to say anything about this before we watch the next clip?
Yeah, sure. I thought it was cool the way that your props allow like the staging of the floor to come together a little bit better for the performance visually. Because like not everyone looks like they're out there at the same time. There's some folks that are kind of back behind the prop. But I think that's like very smart design, and it's something that you'll see a lot throughout my show as well, because then not everyone needs to like have 5 minutes or 7 minutes worth of visual that they're responsible for cleaning. There's like, it's a very smart design tool to only have certain people exposed at certain times. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That is incredibly smart.
Yeah, something that they've been trying to focus on is like drawing the eye and the ears like to certain parts of the floor. So you can kind of hear in that excerpt where like the sound goes all the way across the floor and the sound goes all the way back, and then we match that visually. So it's kind of like your eyes and your ears are watching in the same directions.
Yeah, I think there's a big challenge with a lot of groups with like focus and like where your focus should be and your attention should be on the floor. And I think a lot of groups that don't have opportunities like that with moving props that are big enough to, I don't know, kind of hide behind. It's kind of like a real challenge to say, oh, do we just leave these people sitting tacit here, or do we design some small section of body for them or something? And so I think it's really smart the way both United and Rhythm X are doing that this year, from what I've seen.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's watch the next clip then. Everybody ready for the next one?
Yeah.
Can I just play it, Laura, or do you want to set this up too?
Basically some of the same ideas. This is just the end of our show. It's just pretty emotional, pretty hype. It's very, very fun to play. And you can kind of see on the little circles, kind of hard to see from far away, but you can see how there's like the live footage going on as we're performing it.
Okay, very good. Everybody watching live, we're glad you're here. Let us know where you're watching from. And we're watching a clip from United. Here we go. All right. Nice job, Laura.
Yeah. One other thing that I kind of wanted to point out towards the end, it ends on a dominant 5 chord. So it does end rather unresolved. And that kind of goes along with, like when tragedy strikes, and the whole world is watching one event, some recent ones like the war in Ukraine, there's hope that we can carry with us, but there are still going to be things that are like unresolved.
Absolutely. Any other guys want to say anything about what we just watched?
Yeah, I would say I actually love. It's very impressive in my opinion. I love the front to back alignment that the front and the battery has throughout this entire movement. You see where a lot of these intricate runs and intricate moving patterns are hitting these big beats, and all of these alignments are not misplaced. You're hearing it all as one big drum and or instrument, and you're not hearing anyone out of place or out of time here, and it's very impressive. I will have to say, like, big kudos to that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely hitting that point of the season where consistency is like the biggest thing, just reps on reps on reps and on reps over and over again.
Awesome. Okay, so Steven, time for a Rhythm X clip?
Yeah, definitely. The clip that I selected for you guys is from our closer. And I guess like keeping in line of some stuff we've already talked about, there's a lot that goes on in our show in terms of like trying to be really deliberate about drawing the eye to certain spots on the floor at certain times. So we do that either through the colors of the uniforms, where you'll see folks turning around and facing backfield, so that then they kind of blend into the grayscale black and gray thing that's going on, while at other times, like if you're the attention of the floor, many folks are in like an orange uniform that really draws the eye. Much the same way that United's show had like people moving in and out of behind props so that you could be backstage and not really taking attention away when it wasn't the moment that you were supposed to draw the attention. We kind of do the same thing here as well. And then all together, we just kind of come together and form this really emotional moment. We kind of, as the show goes on, are exploring like the idea of like a primal energy that we can bring to the floor as compared to like a traditional sense of like execution and excellence in band. So we kind of explore like how you can still be excellent, but try to bring something a little bit more like raw energy wise to the audience. So I'm excited to show you guys the clip. I think it's pretty cool. It's my favorite part of the show.
Very cool. All right, let's watch this, everybody. Rhythm X. Let's see it. All right. Congrats. It's so frustrating to watch this stuff on video. Like, I mean, it's fun to watch on video, but you're like, man, I wish I was in that crowd, because you know it's such an intense experience.
That's what
Very
I'm so
cool.
excited for coming forward to finals week, is we know that it's going to be just really electric, especially finals night. And we think people are going to eat it up. So like, I'm excited for everyone to get to see it in that exact environment.
No doubt about it. Let's have some comments from the Reddit's watching.
I thought that was awesome. I love Nirvana, so like that's just, I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
that's so cool. That's like something that I think this season is more important than ever. I feel like no one's really performing and doing this for the score on the sheet anymore. Like it's all just about the impact that we're trying to make on the audience. Like we had our first like huge regional weekend this past weekend, and just seeing everybody just come and watch us and just enjoying it was just such a great feeling again. You know, we've been on this little hiatus for a little bit, and the energy that you all are bringing to that is definitely going to have an awesome impact on a lot of people.
Yeah, totally. I agree, because it feels like people really kind of like missed having band in a way, as like kind
Definitely.
of cliche or odd as it would be, since it's such a niche little thing. But like I've gotten nothing but tons of support for our show, and I just kind of really like getting to see it develop each weekend and become the product that it will be, knowing that
Yeah.
everyone likes it as much as they do.
I just want to say the show is very hype. I love listening to that. Like that clip by itself got me already kind of nodding my head and already loving it. It seems
Yeah.
very fun to perform. Like I see that performance energy and it envelops me watching it through a screen to want to move to that. So it's like
Yeah.
it's amazing probably in that crowd. I will probably guarantee that will be electric on finals night.
It's cool because like the reason it reads that way is because it really feels that way to us as the performers. That like I haven't had a show, not to knock any of the shows I've been a part of. I loved like all the shows I was a part of. but I haven't had a show that like emotionally impacted me as much as the show I'm currently performing. And then that reads in terms of the performance that I'm able to bring. And it's the same for all the other 49 people on the floor, that we all are just like very, very well bought in because we know what we're doing, and it really does impact us in that way. So it's easy to like convey that to the audience.
Yeah, I'm like huge on big impact moments within the musical ensemble, and that clip alone has so many of them, just with the big hits and then going into a little snare feature or bass feature or something. And I see what you're talking about the color. One thing that, like, the first video I watched of y'all this season that really, really stood out to me and made it seem just wow from the get-go was a little tiny thing. It was just when the snares first enter out in the show, and it's all that black grayscale, and then it's just the leg of orange, and it's just effective. It's great. I love it.
Yeah, the orange across like really bold when it's the only color on the floor. There was actually like, that was some of Tim and Andrew's like first things that they were thinking of back like 2 years ago now, when they were coming up with the show for the first time. Was like part of the motivation with the props was they wanted to be able to just like at a moment's notice change what the color scheme of the whole floor is. So that was kind of like the high level idea that like the art shaped boxes came from. And from there, even like throughout the course of our season, it's been a journey of us figuring out what the show is. Even like the designers don't always fully know like what the show is, as much so as it's a collaborative effort of everyone coming together and like developing this product into what it'll be. But I think that the way the color scheme works to the show is what makes it so like visually effective, or at least like fun to watch.
I would agree. It's working, everything you guys are doing, and I know you guys know that.
Yeah, it's it's fun. It's a fun season for sure, man.
It's fantastic, Stephen. By the way, there's a lot of us band nerds, drumline nerds, whatever. So don't negate, like, we love it. It's our passion. It's something that we love to do. So don't ever feel like you're in that much of a niche. There's a lot of us. And if you get a lot out of it and you help other people enjoy your performance and it's making a difference in your life, then you go, man. Own it and love it.
Hey, I agree fully. I upended my life to come live in Ohio out here for this. So,
no
I'm on the same
doubt
page as you.
Living, I imagine you in sort of shed in the middle of the woods. I know that's not the way it is, but like you're talking about, you're in the rehearsal. Anyway, I'm just kidding, everybody. We had a little bit of an internet issue once before, but Stephen, that was so awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. And man, what a great, how great to be in a drumline like that.
It's a really special experience. I think oftentimes I've been telling people lately that it feels like every other season of band that I did was like experience that I had to have, like I was building a resume just so I could get here and have this last one. So yeah, it's been a wonderful time.
That's fantastic. By the way, we have someone watching, Jamil, who says he's I guess Rhythm X Wins parent from Bellevue East, or maybe a Bellevue East Wins parent. Anyway, I don't know if you know Jamil, and he says, I hope to see your performances live in Dayton. So
anyway, I hope that he can come out to a show and we get to Crossway soon.
Awesome. So thank you for watching, Jamil. We're glad that you're here. All right, so let's watch the first Infinity clip. You guys, the first one is Infinity, I guess the world one. Do you guys want to set this up at all?
The first one is going to be the Infinity World group, from what I remember, and it's going to be a good chunk of our closing segment, and it kind of helps like envelop the entire show that we have, because our entire show is all about time and decision making and how it affects people's lives. And through the end, we kind of briefly go through musically and visually the timeline of the entire show, and also kind of timeline of Infinity Percussion.
Okay, that's very interesting. All right, let's watch the clip. Sammy, you want to say anything? We're going to jump in. You ready?
Josh said it perfectly.
Awesome, let's do it. right. Fantastic. A lot of cool stuff going on. Laura, let's talk about it.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. I think that they're like playing with the actual time of the music, like you're bobbing your head, you're in a groove, and then you're like, oh wait, okay. And then it's like, I thought that was like pretty cool how they're kind of like, are there a lot of patterns of that like throughout the whole show?
There's a lot of different like syncopated rhythms. I know this is just a small clip, but that little thing that there's a solo played at the end with some 16th notes that shows up everywhere in the show. And we have something like that, and then it splits into a weird 7-lit rhythm that kind of throws you off for like a bar. So yeah, it's definitely something that was shown up and intended in the original writing, which is pretty cool that it's showing, I think.
Yeah, I also was wondering about that piano. Is that a synth in there in the actual piano?
In the prop, it is a fake synth. Well, it's a synth in the prop piano, but it's not actually hooked up to any speakers. Our VE member is an actual pianist that he's kind of airing the piano part out as one of our synth players in the front ensemble is playing the part.
Oh, so that's kind of cool that you get to like actually see it being played while hearing it simultaneously. Pretty
Yeah.
cool. And then that big hand prop, that is very interesting. I mean, I wish I could have seen it from like the aerial view. Maybe I can look up another video of it. But like, how are you utilizing that throughout the show, kind of maneuvering with it?
It's really interesting dealing with that prop and figuring out ways working with it throughout the show. The snare line has kind of taken the mantle of assembling it, disassembling it, and moving it everywhere. And we have some VE members that do like stand on it and do work on it. So because of that, it has to be heavy enough to, maintain people's weights. So it's been a lot figuring that part of it out. But in the show concept part itself, at the beginning of the show, we're all around it and we do a bunch of choreo around it as time kind of starts moving and time stops and the floor freezes. And then that little outro right after what we had just played in that clip is us basically doing that same thing in reverse. So it's been very interesting, the VE making sure it's always at the right time and it's reflecting exactly what it was at the beginning of the show. And we have a bunch of sets and stuff close to it, especially like the cymbals and the basses who run all the way around the floor at all times. And so they get really close to it. We have some near misses. We have some not near misses where things actually did collide, but everything's okay. And yeah, it's been an interesting journey working with that and really dialing in, making sure everyone who is responsible for that and responsible for being around it knows exactly what they're doing. So
Yeah.
we don't have any errors.
Yeah, it's very interesting how like with world class, it's either all the props or just minimalist props, and I feel like both can be like very tasteful when adding to a show. But I think that it's cool whenever I see just like one or two props on the floor and you're able to do so much with just one or two things.
Yeah, it's been cool. A lot of the shows that I've marched with, I was with Infinity 2 for a while before, which we're going to see some clips of later. But I mean, Josh is not in his head. I've been with him there for years. And the props we had during our time there was like a whole backdrop of like a castle or a mountainscape. And it was a whole lot. And we got into this show this year and they were announcing it to us and they said, there's one prop. And we're like, yes, there's one prop. We don't have to deal with all of them.
Yeah. Makes truck loading a lot easier.
Yes.
Very cool. And so I want to make sure everybody, VE is visual ensemble, right?
Yes, correct.
Yes.
Okay, just making sure in case there's anybody watching that's not up on the lingo. I just wanted to make sure I was up on the lingo. So let's watch this clip from Infinity 2. Do you guys need to set this up at all?
We could a little bit. Well, Infinity 2 is obviously the kind of like the feeder group for Infinity World. A lot of the members there are kind of trained and cultivated to be able to get up to that world-class level. That's kind of the whole goal of Infinity, is moving players up and improving players. And their show this year is essentially about discovering the fountain of youth and harnessing that treasure that they find. And this clip that was picked is the intro where they kind of get on this island and they're adventuring and they're going through all these tough terrains to find this fountain. So I'm excited to watch it because it's one of my favorite parts of Infinity 2's show this year.
Very cool. All right, everybody, let's watch a little bit of Infinity 2. By the way, there's 3 Infinities, everybody. There's Infinity 3 as well, but this is Infinity 2. Here we go. And I think that's the one we just watched, right?
That was the
So
clip
let's try again.
watched.
Here's Infinity 2.
Yep.
Guys, Christopher
Right?
right
No?
here.
Gosh. All right. This is not all my fault, but I'll take blame for it. Here we go.
We have kept hope alive. Now, against all odds, we have washed ashore on the Isle of Hope itself.
All right. That does not look like a feeder drumline to me. I think that's the misnomer. There are 3 great drum lines in this Infinity organization. Let's talk about that, everybody.
Yeah. At the Infinity organization, there's 3 groups we have. We have Infinity World, which is our only world-class group so far. We have Infinity 2, one of our 2 open-class groups, and Infinity 3, which is our second open-class group.
Yeah, it's really cool to note. Infinity 3 is typically an A-class group, but they recently got bumped to open. It's really cool just seeing them, get bumped up to that level because they're really earning it and really working for it. And I know a lot of people who have gone through that organization and are now like teaching at that organization. It's very, very cool to see them, helping that group propel to that level, and just want to give them all the props for that.
Speaking about all the props, man, I want one of those trees. Let's talk
Me
about
too.
the show.
It was like a whole theatrical setup. I really liked looking at it between the boat back there and the trees over on the other side. They definitely have like a story show type of thing that they can work around a little bit there.
Yeah, I was gonna say I miss storyline shows sometimes. Like so many world-class shows are just this broad concept, but storyline shows are exciting, it's like you kind of get to see all the trial and error that people have to go through to solve whatever problem it is that they're trying to solve. My students, I'm teaching at a group, and they kind of have the whole Tin Man finding his heart, that sort of show. And I love teaching it just because, it kind of is, it kind of just like feels nice to kind of tell a story, to the
And
audience.
to not have it be like a very esoteric, heady thing where you don't even know really what the show was about by the time it's done.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's nice to have something that's like very digestible and simple, and you just get to enjoy it.
Yeah, those nice like point A to point B shows are pretty refreshing, and they're also very common at Infinity 2.
I was about to say, if you want to watch storyline shows, go through Infinity 2's entire history. It's the whole vibe, and it's great. I love it.
Yeah, it seems like they're having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, and they're, again, like all the groups are local to where we are. So pretty much everybody in the ensembles are currently local Florida people, at least. Some people come from out of town to March, but it's cool because, like I said, we as like the Snareline world will hang on the weekends, but I'll also, get to spend a lot of time with other people in the other ensembles. So it's cool. I know that for a fact they are all having a lot of fun, and it's awesome.
Yeah, awesome.
Okay, very good, guys. So we are done with the segment with the performers, but before we let them go, and we have one more thing, everybody. With Christopher from California is going to share some clips from out there too. But before we do that, I'm going to let Steve and Sammy and Joshua let each of you say what do you want to say to the audience if they're watching. Like one thing you want to say about your experience with the season or indoor drumline or what any of this has meant to you. Steven, I'll just randomly go to you first. What would you like to say as we say goodbye to you guys?
Yeah, sure. I'm having the time of my life out here, and I feel like it reflects in our performance, and that's true not just for me, but for I think like all of my friends in the ensemble. So you're going to want to see it. It's going to be great, and I really look forward to enjoying the next 4 weeks.
That's fantastic. Congrats to you for being in such a fantastic group, and we all look forward to seeing that in Dayton for sure. Joshua, what would you like to say as we're closing with your segment?
I like to say, again, thank you for watching. It's been a pleasure being on, and thank you for having me. And I'm very excited to follow through the end of the season with Infinity. I'm curious how we're going to do, where we're going to line up, and I'm ready to pretty much make some sparks fly on Dayton when we get up there.
All right, very good. And Sammy, how about you?
Yeah, thankful to be here. Glad everyone is able to talk about their shows with other groups and just share our art. It's really cool seeing everything that's happening throughout the season. I personally love watching clips of other groups as we're going through the whole season. It makes me feel like I'm a part of something really big, which I just really encourage everyone to do. And everyone who has the opportunity to march, who's watching this, definitely just say, keep going all the way. As someone who was originally supposed to age out last year, but because of COVID, got the bonus year, and now aging out. I'm really, really looking forward to finishing out in Dayton and just getting that really, really satisfied impact moment with Retreat at the end of the night.
Fantastic. Well, congrats to all of you. Thank you so much for being here as part of this. I really appreciate it. Everybody, we're going to watch some clips from Christopher Rutt out in California, but I would want to make sure Sammy, Joshua, and Stephen know that you guys, if you need to head out, because we've already taken a lot of your evening, that's perfectly fine. I really appreciate you guys being here. So thank you. Really great job. This was really fun talking to you guys. All right, so thank you guys for being here. I'll send them on their way. So Laura, we're going to watch some clips from Christopher Rutt out in California area about some shows out there. So let's watch that now.
I'm at Los Osos High School in Rancho Cucamonga, California for the WGI Western Regional Percussion Championships. I'm sorry I won't be able to make it on your podcast today, but I do have some highlights from this weekend's competition to show you some of the great things that are going on out west here from the perspective of a timing and penalties judge. So I hope you enjoy. Have a great day. Bye, guys. Do it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed looking at what happened out here, and we'll see you down the road. Bye.
Wow, that was amazing. That was Laura. That was like a who's who of Western drum. Like that was like heavy hitter after heavy hitter. Wow, it was amazing.
Yeah. I'm definitely excited to see a lot of those groups out at Dayton. Just being over here on the East Coast, I feel like we're just separated from everything over there for a lot of the season until we're finally able to get to championships. But definitely a lot of amazing things going on. I feel like everyone's really trying to push the boundaries of this activity coming back off of a 2-year hiatus. Everyone's just so excited to be back. You know, the ideas are probably just have been building up for so long. There's so much creativity out there.
Yeah, it's amazing. And of course, after a couple of years off, it's really like everybody, we wondered, how's everybody going to be? Like, is everybody going to be struggling, or is it going to be, everybody going to remember how to march and drum,
Yeah.
what's happening? Of course, everybody's better than they ever have been. I had a really interesting conversation with Shane Walton. You guys should check that out. That was on these same social media outlets. And he talked about the fact that what's really interesting for a lot of the world groups this year is they have 3 years of age outs. Like they have, 23-year-olds marching, even 24-years-olds, maybe. I don't know, like, because
Yeah,
they kept
we have
getting. So
we
they have
have
a
a
lot of
24-year-old.
yeah, they have a lot of older members, which is very exciting. But like, it'll be interesting to see what happens next year when like a huge swath of their drum line is gone. It's a very interesting scenario right now.
Yeah, luckily, we also have a 2 group. United has a 2 group that just got bumped to open class as well. So we have a lot of members in that group that are wonderful players, and I'm sure would be great additions to the world group, as well as we have quite a few that are able to stick around for next year, which is exciting. But I will be aging out. I know a lot of my friends will be aging out, so it is pretty sad, but I'm excited to maybe get on the other end of things next year, start finding some groups to teach.
Oh, absolutely, man. Keep giving back. I love it. I mean, this is one of the great things about our activity is you have this expertise, and there's so many ways that you can share that with the marching community and the drumming community and everything else. So I definitely hope that you do that for sure.
Definitely.
Everybody, our next week is on Marching Arts Now, which you're watching. We are going to be doing our last Color Guard big wrap up for the season, with that week being then. And then the week of WGI Dayton Percussion, we'll be doing our last percussion one there. So everybody watch for that. Laura, what do you want to say as we're closing tonight to everybody that's watching?
Any performers, just keep trucking along, really give it your all these past few weeks. You don't really have a lot of time left if you're aging out. If you're not aging out, just soak in every moment, because if there's anything that the pandemic has taught me, it's just to take every day, appreciate every moment you have in these wonderful experiences. So I'd say that's about it.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Everybody make the most of every moment. We all sort of appreciate it a little bit more now after everything we've just been through and missing it so much. So it's very exciting. If you're watching this, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please let somebody else know that it's here. You can find all of these on the Marching Roundtable YouTube channel, all the ones from this past fall and this winter, or also at marchingartseducation.com. You can find all those. Thanks to Gar Closet for being presenting this along with Marching Arts Education. We appreciate them and Jeremy Williams putting this whole thing together. It's been a lot of fun to do these. We have 2 more. Like I said, one next week for Color Guard, and then the one for Dayton Week for percussion. So, Laura, great job tonight, man. Wasn't this interesting? Like those performers from those groups they had such an interesting perspective. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's interesting, kind of forming your own perspective of your own show, your own ideas, but then hearing others once you get out there and start performing, you'll be like, oh, I never really thought of that. Or it's interesting kind of hearing other people's interpretations on it.
Yeah, let's keep talking, everybody. Let's keep communicating. Let's keep supporting each other. Remember, have a lot of empathy and grace with every show you see. You don't know what that group has been through the last year, the last month, the last 2 years. So let's support everybody as we always like to in the activity. Laura, you were a wonderful job. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Enjoyed, everybody. Thanks so much for watching.